A new study has found anti-obesity injections could reduce the risk of heart attacks, strokes, or heart failure in obese people, regardless of the amount of weight that they lose.
Heart disease could be a modern form of scurvy, a condition we already know how to treat. The shocking truth is that our government might be intentionally hiding the solutions. Inventors with revolutionary ideas are being sidelined by big corporations intent on protecting their profits.
There's very unique design features that had to be developed in order to develop the water fuel cell as a retrofit energy systems to conventional cars.
These groundbreaking technologies offer stories of hope and real risk. What other life-changing miracles are being buried by those afraid of losing their power? Join us as we uncover the discoveries that could transform our lives but are being kept from you. The lost promise of radical inventions. The story of suppressed inventions is full of risk and sacrifice. A saying among inventors is, "If an electric current can kill, its creator must endure the same peril." This captures the danger faced by those challenging powerful interests to bring new ideas to light. One example is the engine powered by water, a brilliant idea quickly pushed aside. There was also technology to burn hydrogen as slowly as coal, but it was ignored, perhaps because it threatened existing energy interests. Then there's the Williams X-Jet from the 1980s, made by Williams International. It was a small, lightweight aircraft for one person, able to take off and land vertically. Powered by a modified turbofan engine, the pilot could steer by leaning, allowing it to move quickly, hover, spin, and fly, for 45 minutes at speeds up to 60 mph. However, the U.S. Army dismissed it in favor of helicopters and drones, and the idea was abandoned. Next is Dr. Thomas Henry Moray's radiant energy device from the early 1900s. Weighing only 60 pounds, it could harness 50,000 watts of electricity from the natural energy in empty space. Despite its success, Moray struggled to find funding and faced opposition from the Rural Electrification Agency, which allegedly preferred to transfer his technology to the Soviet Union rather than support it. In a world where tales of stifled innovation are common, there's a strange demonstration of a device under a pyramid-shaped object, seemingly hovering by a scientist's hand gestures. This raises questions. Is it a true scientific breakthrough or an illusion? Stories of suppressed inventions and the forces that hinder them show a tragic loss of potential. These tales reveal how the desire to maintain control and maximize profits can overshadow technological progress. The story of innovation, curtailed by corporate greed and the pursuit of power, is tragic. Many technologies and advancements might be lost in this struggle, each representing a future not realized. Henry Ford once introduced a revolutionary prototype car made primarily from hemp, called the hemp body car. It used hemp fibers, soybeans, straw, and resin for a light, strong body. The chassis was a mix of hemp and steel, making it affordable, durable, and eco-friendly. The car also ran on hemp ethanol gasoline, a more sustainable and cheaper fuel option. Ford's vision was radical: cars made from renewable materials and running on renewable fuel. This hemp-fueled car was efficient, achieving about 40 miles per gallon. The lighter hemp biocomposite body further enhanced fuel efficiency. However, the automotive and fuel sectors, influenced by government policies, showed little interest. The oil industry, in particular, opposed this competitive new product. As a result, Ford's hemp car concept was regulated out of existence. The suppression of hemp ethanol fuel shows how innovations threatening existing market leaders are often discarded. It wasn't a failure of technology or practicality, but resistance from powerful economic forces. If Ford's concept had been accepted, it could have transformed the automotive industry and benefited the environment. It could have supported a new agricultural market and boosted rural economies. Cheaper, lighter vehicles running on sustainable fuel could have changed automotive manufacturing and energy consumption. Yet, these possibilities were unexplored due to the interests of those dominating the energy markets. The tale of the hemp car reminds us of how significant technological advancements can be overlooked or suppressed when they threaten established industries. Henry Ford's innovative creation, which challenged conventional materials with a biodegradable alternative, faced resistance from those controlling traditional resources like steel and oil. Let's look at how some unique people and ideas started to change things. The suppressed breakthroughs of visionary minds. Every company has its own story to tell, including tales of its beginnings and the driving force behind its operations. The Vortex Water Revitalizer, for instance, isn't just a product on the market. It's a tribute to the legacy of Victor Schauberger. This Austrian forester, inventor, and naturalist dedicated a significant part of his life to studying water. He explored how water moves and interacts with its environment, thinking it could reveal new ways to support life on Earth. His ideas about water dynamics and special water filters are still studied and admired by scientists and environmentalists today, who use his theories to help protect our water resources for future generations. Then there's the curious case of Coral Castle, a peculiar structure in Florida. Built by Edward Leeds-Kalnin, a solitary and somewhat figure, this stone garden is made up of large limestone blocks arranged into various shapes, including walls, furniture, and even a sundial. The construction of Coral Castle is shrouded in tales that suggest Leeds-Kalnin built it alone, using methods that some say could have involved unconventional physics or other unexplained techniques. Now a tourist spot, the castle continues to attract those fascinated by Leeds-Kalnin's potential methods and his solitary dedication to creating such a monumental structure. The realm of the peculiar and the unexplained, the story of Viktor Stepanovich Grebennikov unfolds, a self-taught entomologist from Russia who made the extraordinary claim of having constructed a levitating device. This apparatus, as he asserted, was powered uniquely by the remains of insects. Grebennikov described in great detail his flights over the Russian landscapes aboard this handcrafted platform, blending these accounts with encounters of phenomena often linked to the insect world. His narratives, rich with descriptions of these experiences, were penned without the validation of the established scientific community, leaving them adrift in a sea of skepticism. Despite this lack of scientific endorsement, Grebennikov's stories continue to spark curiosity and wonder among those who discover his writings. His tales capture the imagination, inviting readers into a world where the lines between scientific possibility and the fantastical blur, offering a glimpse into what might be, if only in the realm of imagination. These stories, though they come from different corners of the world and involve vastly different pursuits, all delve into the realm of human curiosity and innovation. They challenge us to consider the boundaries of human knowledge and the lengths to which individuals will go to break through conventional understanding. Whether these accounts are viewed as breakthroughs in human thought or mere fabrications, they continue to engage our curiosity and debate. As tales of unusual achievements and unverified claims, they prompt us to reflect on the nature of truth and the human drive to explore beyond accepted limits. Each story, rich with details of personal endeavor and the quest for understanding, keeps us questioning and yearning to know more about the world and the potential that lies just beyond the known. The Cloudbuster, conceived by Wilhelm Reich, an Austrian psychotherapist known for his grand ideas, was a device said to influence weather by controlling a type of energy called orgone. Reich believed that by pointing this device at the sky and connecting it to water, he could pull this energy from the atmosphere to form clouds and cause rain. Despite conducting many tests, which he referred to as cosmic organ engineering, no solid proof ever emerged to show that his device could actually affect the weather in any meaningful way. The whole concept of orgone remains dismissed by the scientific community as nothing more than pseudoscience. The story of the General Motors EV1, an early electric vehicle, is another example of innovation meeting resistance. Introduced in the 1990s, the EV1 came from a prototype called the Impact, developed in response to California's push for automakers to sell zero-emission vehicles. Despite a positive reception from those who leased these cars, General Motors eventually decided that the electric vehicle market was too small to be profitable. By 2001, nearly all of the EV1s were recalled and destroyed, much to the dismay of its small but passionate group of users. This event is a classic example of how big corporations sometimes abandon innovative projects, even when they show potential due to financial considerations. Project XA, although less known and lacking the public drama of the EV1, faced a similar fate. This project started with promise and the potential to make significant contributions to its field, but fell victim to the common pitfalls of insufficient funding and shifting corporate interests. Projects like these often start with excitement and a burst of publicity, but gradually fade into obscurity when they don't align with the broader economic or strategic goals of their backers. These stories collectively illustrate a rather disheartening cycle where creative ideas are frequently suppressed by practical constraints, economic realities, and a general hesitance to disrupt the status quo. The tales of the Cloudbuster, GM EV1, and Project XA serve as cautionary tales, demonstrating how often innovative concepts are sidelined or completely crushed before they can fully demonstrate their potential. Each narrative not only highlights the struggles faced by inventors and visionaries, but also underscores the broader societal and economic forces that often stifle innovation. These accounts shed light on a recurring pattern of resistance to change, especially when such change threatens established interests or requires a shift from traditional ways of thinking. In reflecting on these examples, see a clear portrayal of the barriers that innovators often encounter, painting a picture of a world that sometimes seems to fear the very progress it seeks. Next, we see what happens when bold ideas meet big obstacles. How corporate interests crush progress. James D. Mould's work on a cigarette that wouldn't cause cancer should be infuriating to both smokers and non-smokers alike. His project, known as Project XA, should have been a game changer. Despite long-standing suspicions that tobacco companies often misled the public about the dangers of smoking, the outright disregard of Mould's research starkly illustrates the depth of the industry's greed. Mould wasn't just innovating. He was aiming to revolutionize smoking with his creation of the XA, or palladium cigarette. His approach was ingenious. By incorporating palladium and magnesium nitrate, he developed a cigarette that could neutralize the harmful chemicals that typically cause cancer. Lab tests showed promising results in reducing cancer rates among animals. Yet, when it came time to introduce this breakthrough product to the market, tobacco executives turned their backs, swayed by lawyers who feared a flood of legal actions from those harmed by their older, more dangerous products. Lester Hendershot's experience with his invention, the Hendershot generator, tells a similar story of thwarted innovation. For over 30 years, Hendershot worked on a device that claimed to tap into a magnetic force field, an invention that only seemed to work when he operated it. Although he never managed to fully explain why his device worked, it consistently impressed during demonstrations, including one attended by famed aviator Charles Lindbergh. The press and public witnessed its effectiveness through several tests and demonstrations that it passed successfully. But when Hendershot tried to take his invention international and expand into Mexico, he ran into a wall of political pushback that eventually pushed him and his generator into the shadows of history. These stories show how corporate and political interests can stifle significant technological advances. The suppression of these innovations reflects a broader tendency of powerful entities to block progress that threatens their interests. The losses are not just personal for the inventors, but societal, as these technologies could have led to safer products and new energy solutions. The discouragement and eventual disappearance of these inventions under such pressures show a troubling aspect of how progress can be controlled and limited. This manipulation ensures that only certain advancements that align with specific commercial or political interests see the light of day, while others are buried, regardless of their potential benefits to society. Such actions deprive the public of healthier choices and innovative technologies that could reshape everyday life, illustrating a grim reality where profit and power often trump public good. By the turn of the 20th century, Nikola Tesla had established himself as a leading figure in electrical engineering in the United States, largely due to his high-profile triumph over Thomas Edison in what many called the Battle of the Currents. Following this public victory, Tesla didn't just sit back and enjoy his fame. Rather, he plunged headlong into his next grand project, the Wardenclyffe Tower. Built between 1901 and 1905, this tower was Tesla's bold step towards a radical vision. He wanted to turn the Earth itself into a giant transmitter for wireless communication. Tesla's dream was to create a network that could send music, news, financial updates, military messages, and pictures across the globe without wires. This concept, if realized, would have been something akin to an early wireless version of the Internet. The tower at Wardenclyffe would serve as a hub from which all these signals would radiate, using the Earth to spread them far and wide. But the scale of Tesla's ambition was enormous, perhaps too much so. His vision blended genuine scientific ingenuity with a flair for the dramatic that characterized much of his work. He wanted more than just to innovate. He wanted to revolutionize how people communicated. Despite the groundbreaking nature of his ideas, the reality of bringing such a visionary project to life was fraught with challenges. Tesla's previous experiments, including those with his Tesla coils, had successfully demonstrated the principles of wireless transmission over short distances. Encouraged by these successes, he envisioned the Wardenclyffe Tower as a leap towards making long-distance wireless communication common. However, his aspirations often stretched far beyond the immediate technological capabilities of his time, straddling the line between what was scientifically possible and what remained in the realm of speculative science. As Tesla poured more energy and resources into the tower, the financial demands of the project began to spiral. The construction and operational costs accumulated rapidly, and Tesla found it increasingly difficult to secure the necessary funding. His relentless pursuit of a grandiose dream started to alienate his investors, whose patience wore thin as they saw more practical and immediate applications of electricity being sidelined. Despite Tesla's charismatic pitches and bold assurances, the money required to complete Wardenclyffe kept ballooning, and no tangible results were in sight to reassure nervous backers. The mounting financial pressure eventually became too great to withstand. Tesla's ambitious project, which had begun with such promise and excitement, started to falter under the heavy burden of unrealized potential and unmet expectations. By 1917, the incomplete and financially unsustainable tower was dismantled. Its components were sold to pay off some of Tesla's debts. The site, once buzzing with activity and hope, stood empty, a stark reminder of what happens when dreams outpace reality. What remained of the Wardenclyffe Tower was a poignant symbol of Tesla's unfulfilled aspirations. It stood as a testament not only to his genius and vision, but also to the pitfalls of reaching too far beyond the grasp of current technology and financial support. Tesla's story at Wardenclyffe is a compelling chapter in the history of innovation, marked by a blend of brilliance and overreach, where the line between future possibilities and present realities was ambitiously and perhaps recklessly blurred. Now we meet inventors whose big ideas stirred big debates. How new ideas meet. Old resistance. Stan Meyer once claimed he had invented a car that could run entirely on water. He said this car didn't need gasoline at all because it used something he called a water fuel cell. However, many people doubted this claim. In 1996, a court in Ohio decided Meyer's invention was a fake. They said he was lying about what his car could do. This was a harsh blow for Meyer, who had been very proud of his idea. He told everyone that his car could change the world by using only water, which would be a big deal because it meant people wouldn't need to use oil anymore. 3 years later, in 1998, Meyer suddenly died while he was having dinner at a restaurant. He was with 2 investors from Belgium at the time. These were people who had given him money to help build his water car. Right after this dinner, Meyer died unexpectedly. The doctors said he died because of a brain aneurysm, which is like a burst blood vessel in the brain, and it happened because he had very high blood pressure. But not everyone believed this explanation. Some people who liked Meyer and believed in his invention thought these investors might have poisoned him to stop him from spreading his ideas. The story got even more complicated because one of the Belgian investors, Philippe van Morel, said he had been close friends with Meyer. He said he had supported Meyer financially because he believed in him and they were good friends. Van Morel was confused and hurt by the rumors that he could have harmed Meyer. He couldn't understand why people would think he had anything to do with Meyer's sudden death. Meyer's death fueled many stories and theories. People who supported him couldn't accept that his death was just an accident or a natural cause. They thought it was too suspicious that he died right after a big meeting about his invention. These supporters believed there was a plot to silence him because his car could have changed the way the world uses energy. They thought big companies that sell oil didn't want Meyer's invention to succeed because it would mean less money for them. Meyer's story shows how hard it is to challenge big ideas and established ways of doing things. When someone comes along with a new invention that could turn everything upside down, it creates a lot of excitement, but also a lot of conflict. People can be skeptical and resistant to change, especially if it affects their interests. This situation is a classic example of what happens when new ideas collide with old fears and interests. It's a reminder that changing the world isn't just about having a good idea. It's also about dealing with the people and powers that might not want things to change. Meyer's life and show how tough and complicated it can be to try and make a big difference. Royal Raymond Rife could be seen as an example of an inventor who was not fully accepted by the scientific community. Rife, an American inventor with notable skills, improved the field of microscopy with his advanced time-lapse cinematography. His microscopes claimed to achieve levels of magnification that many thought impossible. But his most controversial creation was the oscillating beam ray, which he claimed could cure diseases by targeting and destroying disease organisms with radio waves, a concept that intrigued some and raised eyebrows among others. Despite collaborating with scientists, doctors, and other inventors during his time, and having some of his work mentioned in respectable publications like the 1944 Smithsonian Institute report, the larger scientific community, including heavyweights like the American Medical Association and the American Cancer Society, dismissed his theories. These institutions, grounded in traditional scientific views, labeled Rife's ideas as unscientific. Nevertheless, a dedicated group of followers continues to support his ideas, holding on to the belief that electromagnetic waves could potentially destroy harmful cells. We now explore how business interests can slow or block new ideas. Innovators versus mainstream views. Similarly, Thomas Townsend Brown was an inventor fascinated by the idea of using high electric fields to create an anti-gravity effect. Throughout his life, Brown was devoted to exploring this concept, which most scientists consider a misunderstanding of what is actually electrohydrodynamics, essentially the movement of charged particles causing air to move, known as ionic wind. This did not stop Brown from dedicating his career to develop this concept into a practical application for commercial and military purposes. His pursuit led to what is commonly referred to as the Biefeld-Brown effect, which inspired many hobbyists and amateur scientists to create their own devices, often called lifters, that use high voltage to achieve propulsion. Both Rife and Brown represent a type of inventor who is often seen as too far ahead of their time or too unconventional, their inventions straddling the line between groundbreaking and implausible. Their contributions, mixed with both innovation and controversy, continue to spark discussions and attract a subset of enthusiasts who challenge the limits of mainstream scientific thought. Their stories are examples of how the inventor can be filled with both recognition and skepticism, pushing the envelope on what is accepted as possible or factual in the world of science. These narratives showcase the thin and often disputed boundary between pioneering brilliance and the outskirts of accepted scientific research, weaving a complex tapestry of ambition, proof, rejection, and enduring fascination. The complex world of alternative medicine, the Hoxsey method, stands out as a particularly controversial example. It claims to treat cancer using a mix of herbal pastes and supplements, but no scientific evidence supports its effectiveness. Despite this, it's still promoted, especially online and in Mexico, taking advantage of less strict regulations. This situation highlights how the internet can be used to spread both useful knowledge and misleading information. The ongoing promotion of the Hoxsey method illustrates a persistent fascination with quick and unconventional cures, even when they are not supported by mainstream science. The idea of businesses controlling technology for profit is also evident in the history of the Phoebus cartel. This group of companies deliberately limited the lifespan of light bulbs to increase sales, affecting how long our products last. Even though the cartel was disbanded at the start of World War II, the concept of creating products that need frequent replacement continues to affect us today. This practice shows how corporate greed can influence technological development, often at the consumer's expense. Another intriguing figure is Linus Pauling, a respected scientist who later advocated for high doses of vitamin C to treat cancer. Despite his previous scientific achievements, his new ideas were not accepted by the medical community. Pauling's experience highlights the fine line between innovative science and ideas considered outside the norm. It shows how difficult it can be for new and unconventional ideas to gain acceptance, especially when they challenge established scientific views. The story of cold fusion further illustrates this struggle between new ideas and traditional scientific views. Supporters saw it as a revolutionary energy source that could provide clean energy cheaply, but mainstream scientists dismissed it due to a lack of reliable evidence. This clash is a classic example of how new technologies can be suppressed or discredited, not just by lack of evidence, but also by existing powers within the scientific community who may feel threatened by new discoveries. Paul Pantone's story is an example of how inventors can face major challenges. Pantone claimed he created a technology that could power cars mostly with water. This idea, if true, could have changed the world. However, instead of being celebrated, Pantone faced many obstacles. He encountered legal problems and was even placed in a mental health facility. This harsh treatment shows how powerful groups can react strongly to new ideas, especially when those ideas might threaten existing technologies or profits. Pantone's story is not unique. Many inventors and innovators have faced similar problems. Their stories highlight the complex relationship between new ideas, money, and power. For example, some inventors who develop new medical treatments find their work discredited if it threatens profitable existing treatments. Companies with a lot of money and influence can shape what new technologies get accepted and which ones do not. These struggles show that the path to new technology is not just about making a discovery. It is also about dealing with the interests of powerful groups and institutions. Innovators have to navigate these interests and often face skepticism and control from those who benefit from the status quo. The stories of Pantone and others illustrate that technology development is influenced by human creativity, but also by economic interests and social forces. For instance, a new energy source that could reduce reliance on fossil fuels might be suppressed because it threatens big oil companies. Similarly, a revolutionary cancer treatment might be discredited if it challenges the profits of established pharmaceutical companies. These narratives show that the journey of bringing new ideas to life is filled with challenges. The development of technology involves more than just innovation. It includes dealing with the economic interests of powerful companies and the social dynamics that influence which technologies get accepted. This often means that new ideas face a lot of resistance before they can be adopted. Despite the potential for positive change, many new technologies are suppressed or discredited if they threaten existing industries or profits. Paul Pantone's story and others like it paint a detailed picture of how innovation, profit motives, and the acceptance of new ideas are deeply intertwined. These stories demonstrate that the journey from invention to adoption is a challenging one, shaped by a mix of human ingenuity, economic interests, and social dynamics. Innovators must often overcome significant obstacles to bring their ideas to fruition, showing that the path to technological advancement is complex and multifaceted. What are your thoughts on the ethics of suppressing innovation for profit? Share your opinions below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more discussions.